Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is Thursday, September 12th, 2024, and there is a lot going. The universe is rocking and rolling. We are preparing for a partial lunar eclipse, and this can bring seismic activity. This can bring big events, big news events in our own lives and on the world stage. Currently, unfortunately, there is a lot going on in California. There are three wildfires going on in Southern California, and I'm so sorry to see that. And there was just a big, or well, big to me, a 4.6 earthquake in Malibu, and they've had some earthquakes, and there's all sorts of things going on. And this is a very often eclipses are kind of like Uranus in that it can bring earthquakes metaphorically or literally, and surprises and jolts and a lot happening. And so my prayers are with those in California. There's a lot going on. And also, this is just a very emotional full moon eclipse. So this defaults back. So we're going to have, I'm going to be a little scattered because the energy is a little scattered, but bear with me. So Mercury just cleared its shadow today, meaning that it got to the point it retrograded earlier in the summer at 4 degrees of Virgo. So it's cleared its shadow. It is in its dignity. Mercury rules the sign of Virgo. So very good for organizing and working hard and trying to improve things and getting to the details. Mercury remains in Virgo through September 26th. We have, let's see. So we've got that going on. That's at least helpful. And eclipses give us a lot of information. They make us see things in a way we never have before. They bring things to light. We're going to have a partial lunar eclipse on Tuesday, September 17th at 10:34 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and at 7:34 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I'm on the East Coast, so I guess I go there first, but it happens, earlier in the West Coast. And then in Europe, it would be on the 18th. And so this eclipse is at 25 degrees and 41 minutes of the mutable water sign of Pisces. Very emotional energy. Pisces is very prescient, very spiritual, very psychic, but it also can be very confusing. It can be slippery. Sometimes it can be delusional or deceptive or misleading. And a lot of people feel very drained right now. And this also defaults back approximately, 8 years ago. We had a total solar eclipse. We had the eclipses of the Pisces Virgo axis at that time. And at that time, the North Node would have been in Pisces, as opposed to the South Node was in Pisces, pardon me. But at that time, we had a total solar eclipse on March 20th of 2015, which would be 9 years ago, actually. And that was at the last degree of Pisces. That is actually where Neptune reached from May 4th through September 4th of this year. That is the fixed star known as Shiat. It's connected with self-undoing. It's connected with being lost at sea or drowning. It's also very psychic and intuitive. It is the final degree of the zodiac. It is an anorect degree, which means it can be a degree of crisis or culmination. It also can embody to me, I feel, it embodies all of the lessons of the preceding signs and of that sign of Pisces as well. It encapsulates it too. And so this full moon eclipse, so in September of 2000 and September 16th, September 16th of 2016, the full moon eclipse was at 24 degrees of Virgo. Now we have on September 17th, a lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces. So it's setting off that full moon by opposition, but setting it off. And at that time, again, the South Node was more of a release, although Pisces is the sign of endings. It could be hidden information, things we haven't processed emotionally, bringing it out for us to feel, to process, to emote, but it can be very heavy energy. And in this full moon eclipse chart, so leading up to that, we've got a beautiful aspect over the weekend. Venus, which is now currently transiting in its dignity in the sign of Libra, which it rules. That's cardinal air, very social and beautiful, and about diplomacy and justice, although right now things are all over, but at least it helps. And so Venus is going to make a very beautiful trine to Jupiter, which is the grand benefic, also the ancient ruler of the sign of Pisces. And that's going to occur at 10:34 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on September, let's see, if today is the 14th, and then on the 15th at 1:34 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And those are the two benefics working in harmony. So this weekend could have nice energy for socializing and for, love and creative projects. You have the two benefics, Venus being in its dignity, and they're forming a lovely aspect. But we're also preparing for a full moon eclipse, which is a big deal. It's a partial lunar eclipse. That's when the Earth stands between the sun and the full moon, and only part of the surface of the moon is visible in the Earth's shadow, known as the umbra. And so it's not as major as a total lunar eclipse. To have an eclipse, the nodes of fate have to be within 18 degrees of the sun and the moon. To have a total solar eclipse, you have to have the nodes within 8 degrees. So they are very close. But this is destined time, the nodes of destiny, the nodes of fate. Eclipses are like wild cards. You can have a major beginning on a full moon eclipse, which is more equated with endings and reaching completion and culmination. You can have major beginnings, I think, and major endings on a new moon eclipse, which is when, that's a new moon planting new seeds. But these are like a new moon and a full moon on steroids. And this lunar eclipse is, very intense in the sense that it's in Pisces. It's also defaulting back to where Neptune, which is the modern ruler of Pisces, the planet of dreams, it's the planet of creativity, the subconscious mind. It also represents the media. It represents the imagination. It can represent deception. It can represent compassion and selfless love. It's where we go with it. But Pisces is highly psychic and intuitive. Many people are probably feeling, a lot of people have experienced pretty strong dreams. Neptune rules the immune system, among other things, Pisces. So some people could be getting sick or the flu or feeling very tired and enervated by all this energy, very fatigued. And that's another part of it, getting rest. Also processing, maybe journaling if you're getting a lot of messages, whether they're coming in numbers or just music or literal dreams, journaling your dreams, trying to work with this energy, because again, to really manifest, you need to use your imagination. It's not just about visualizing, it's believing and imagining and feeling the thoughts it would be if you had what you're trying to achieve. So in this challenging time, we've got Venus at a great angle to Jupiter. And so trying to find what you want to magnetize and manifest and what you love, but also recognizing that Venus will oppose Chiron, the wounded healer, on Monday the 16th. And that pronounces the wounds. So even though we've got, Venus and Jupiter in harmony, and that is lovely, and Jupiter does rule Pisces in ancient astrology, we also have Chiron, which is, this is about wounds as well, because the Chiron recently stationed at the world, or just a degree off from the world point, 23 degrees cardinal Aries. Now it's actually exactly at the world point at 22. So Venus will get to the world point on Monday, opposing that placement, opposing Chiron rather. And the North Node of Destiny is in Aries in this, pardon me, in this lunar eclipse. So part of it is saying to face energy around your ego, yourself, your identity. To, Mars is now, Mars, the ruler of Aries, is in Cancer. It's going to retrograde later in December, on the 6th of December, in the sign of Leo, but it will return to the sign of Cancer in January, and it'll remain in Cancer through it'll station direct on February 23rd, but it actually is going to be in Pisces through April 18th. It's going to be there a long time. So in Cancer, pardon me. So this is scattered energy. I get a little bit of a break, and I'm not editing because I like to try to keep it authentic as much as I can. So, Mars in Cancer, where it is right now, it enters its shadow on October 4th when it reaches 17 degrees of Cancer, where it will station on February 23rd. Mars is in its fall position. It rules the sign of Aries, which is take charge, let's move ahead. Cancer is about your emotions, your security, your emotional well-being, your home, your family, and getting your needs met. Every time the moon changes signs, Mars answers to that. And so if it's in a fun, upbeat sign, it's a little bit easier. But if it's in a more challenging sign or a lunar eclipse in Pisces, which is highly sensitive energy, this can pronounce the wounds more, or you don't feel like moving ahead as much. Get rest right now. Things can feel very pressured. Likely there's a lot of change for many people, whether you yourself are getting directly impacted or friends of yours, or there are changes that often I find layoffs or changes at people's companies. Somebody big leaves or comes, or they're implementing change in how they do things. You could hear of a big move of a friend or a breakup or a new relationships. It brings news of big life events. And sometimes we find out something we had no idea about. It's just like a windfall. And that, well, it could be a windfall if it's good news, but it's like the Tower card. And it also reminds me of Uranus, because Uranus also can deal with big weather patterns, seismic activities, or what have you. It also brings shocks and surprises, and eclipses can be very jarring as well. So they have that in common. And, it's really also reminding yourself what was going on from from May of 22 through February of 24, because that's when Neptune got to 25 degrees of Pisces, and that's where this full moon eclipse is. That's not that long ago. That's a little over a year and a half ago that it last was at 25 degrees of Pisces. This lunar eclipse is going to be conjunct Neptune. Now Neptune is at 28 degrees of Pisces, but still, this is a lot of endings, people that are kind of hanging on by a thread, a lot of people passing over that are ready to move on. Check in with people that are not having health issues or are not elderly, people that are just having trouble. That's a different thing, because some people may feel more unhinged with this energy. This is a very emotional full moon eclipse. It is conjunct Neptune. Venus is opposing Chiron just a day prior, and Chiron is at the world point and pronouncing the wounds on a global level. We all feel wounded. The world is very wounded right now. And then you also have Mercury, which is in Virgo, its domicile, is going to oppose Saturn in Pisces on the following day. This lunar eclipse is not quite the midpoint, but it is still in the middle. It's close to Neptune, but it's 10 degrees away from Saturn in Pisces. And we've been dealing with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces since March 7th of last year. Recently, they've gotten, within they're not anymore, but they've gotten conjunct. And so that, is a big deal. The last time they were conjunct in Pisces was 1523, and they also were close, not as close, in 1848. And that was the time of the gold rush, and that was also when the Communist Manifesto was published, and Henry David Thoreau was writing Walden Pond. And now we've got what do we have? We've got a lot of things going on. What am I saying? We've got craziness. We've got a mental health epidemic. And in the 1500s, that would have been a lot more about religion and heresy and all of that. But the idea is that people feel very lost. They're very emotionally triggered. A lot of ego bruising right now. A lot of people feel bruised egos about themselves. Maybe they don't feel like they've been achieving a lot in this time. And it's going to be hard because with Mars and Cancer, there are a lot of triggers. We have Pluto wrapping up in Capricorn, which is a big deal because this is the last lunar eclipse, excuse me, while Pluto will be in Capricorn, because once it leaves on November 19th of this year, it will not be in Capricorn again in our lifetime. And it's wrapping up where it was in 08 and in 09. And so that's also something. And I was looking at the eclipses that occurred in, the one, that total solar eclipse at Shiat. That's a big deal because we're all dealing with Neptune, which rules Pisces. At Shiat, the final degree of Pisces, that fixed star that is not an easy one. And we're dealing with that on and off through February 15th of 26. And then Saturn and Neptune are going to meet up exactly to the very degree and minute at the world axis at 0 Aries, 0 Cardinal. So it'll start a new story, but there are a lot of things we're releasing. Pluto and Capricorn, letting go of old structures. There could be more things with governments. That certainly is not a surprise. With companies and corporations. Capricorn rules the sign, rules people in leadership, and it rules corporations and government. And Pluto is about power, those that are in power, and big money. So a lot of change with that as we start to embark on a whole new journey when Pluto returns to Aquarius on November 19th, and really is about new beginnings and segueing into that story, this time really thrusting ourselves. Pluto will not go back into Capricorn. There's a lot we're saying goodbye to. And the thing is, too, is that Neptune on this full moon eclipse, again, enhancing the creative, the psychic, the empathetic, but also things getting dissolved, more endings, more release. It's a full moon, so there will definitely be endings. For some, there are definitely going to be major new beginnings, but one begets the other. But this is, even though it's a north node eclipse, we're meant to go towards the north node. And in Aries, it's about having courage. With Chiron at the world point in Aries, it's about having the courage to embrace your healing and the pain you're feeling. This full moon in Pisces on steroids, this lunar eclipse, is saying there's a lot you need to release and feel and let go. And it's not easy. It's also, again, thinking of what was going on when Neptune was at at 25 degrees of Pisces from February of 22 through May of 22. I did it again through February of 24. So letting go of that story and what that's been doing for you. And the other thing is when we had the lunar eclipse on September 16th of 2015, Uranus was at 22 degrees of Aries at that time. It was at the world point, and that is where Chiron, the wounded healer, is now. So Chiron is speaking to where Uranus, the planet of surprise and awakening and enlightenment, but also chaos and disruption. That's where it was in Aries. Now it's in Pisces. But this is, now it's in Aries too. But it's at that time Uranus was there. So Uranus is in Taurus, excuse me. But there's a lot going on. Center yourself. I am obviously living proof. You got to ground your thoughts. Tiger's Eye is a good thing for that. Burning Palo Santo. A good thing with this lunar eclipse is to let go of old memories. Pluto and Capricorn, you're wrapping up a 15, 16-year story, a 16-year story, really. And also the, Neptune at the last degrees of Pisces. Pisces is the sign of endings. This lunar eclipse conjunct Neptune, things you want to let go of that are keeping you from having courage to heal. North Node in Aries, Chiron in Aries, keeping you from embracing your dreams and your creativity. Lunar eclipse in Pisces, Saturn and Neptune, anchoring the dreams, but not easy. So maybe writing down things that are bothering you. Maybe there are people you haven't forgiven that you need to let go of, whether it's just maybe they're in your lives still, but you need to let go of an issue, or maybe you need to let go of that person. Maybe they're not in your life, but with Mars and then retrograde, initially in Leo, back into Cancer, that could bring old memories, old triggers. A lot of us are getting emotionally triggered by a lot of things. So the more you face it, and that's the full moon eclipse conjunct Neptune, feel the fear, feel the vulnerability, embrace it. Pisces is it's about surrender, but that there's an empowerment in surrendering and letting go because we cannot control everything. Pluto and Capricorn, good luck. It's almost done. We have to let go of control on some levels. I'm not saying you don't want to have power in what you do and in your choices, but sometimes letting go of things is the best thing one can do. And I think just realizing that this is going to be a very emotional time. Then we've got a solar eclipse coming up because eclipses always come in pairs. And that will be October 2nd. That is at 10 degrees of Libra. I will talk more about that. But good luck with everything. Venus opposite Chiron. This full moon eclipse squares Jupiter, so it's enhancing the energy, and Jupiter does rule Pisces in ancient astrology. So again, embracing your emotions to heal, trying to journal your thoughts or dreams or messages or a foresight you're getting right now. It's a very psychic placement. So meditation, manifestation, journaling, affirmations, going to the ocean, taking Epsom salt baths, cleansing the space. Feng Shui would be a great way of letting go of negative energy. I wish you so much luck. More to come. I'll probably do another video tomorrow, but trying to center my own thoughts. And it's a big time. So good luck and take care of yourself, all right? Take care.